Real estate test questions. This video is going to be a 40 question compilation video. So it'll be broken up into 10 question segment, a 20 question segment, and then another 10 question segment. You get a little bit of time, breaks in between, get some water, get ready for the exam. So if you actually want your own test bank of questions, go ahead, use the link down below. It's for Calibri.com. I use their education platform to pass all 3 of my real estate exams. That's the only reason why I actually share that link with you. It is an affiliate link, so if you do end up buying something from it, I do appreciate the support for the channel, and I can keep making videos like this for other people trying to pass the exam like you. Okay, let's hit these first 10 questions. Question number 1. What type of contract cannot be assigned? A, a lease. B, a purchase agreement. C, an option contract. D, a listing agreement. Correct answer here is D, a listing agreement. And here is the reason why. Contracts that convey a freehold or lease estate can be assigned. Service agreements, such as listing agreements, are not assignable. Now, you might actually see a question related to a buyer-broker agreement as well. That would also not be assignable. Question number 2. Which of the following is most correctly the legal meaning of the word waiver? A, the justifiable reliance by one party upon the intentional act or omission of another. B, a mutual cancellation of the contract. C, unilateral act and its legal consequences. D, a rescission of rights due to fraud. Correct answer here is C, a unilateral act and its legal consequences. Question number 3. A, makes an offer to buy B's house. B, accepts the terms of the offer and evidences their acceptance by signing the offer. Is there a valid real estate purchase contract? A, yes, both parties have signed. B, no, because real estate agents cannot draft real estate contracts. C, no, because the acceptance has not been delivered back to the buyer. D, yes, if the buyer was made aware of the acceptance. Correct answer here is C, no, because the acceptance has not been delivered back to the buyer. Now, here's the reasoning. The acceptance of an offer does not constitute a contract until the acceptance has been communicated or delivered back to the party who made the original offer. So in this example, that would be the buyer. Question number 4. Real estate sales contracts, listings, leases, and others which bind 2 parties are termed A, unilateral contracts. B, contingent contracts. C, bilateral contracts. D, voidable contracts. Now, the correct answer here is C, bilateral contracts. Now, this question is a good example of if you just understand the definitions of the key words related to contracts, you're going to get some easy points on your test. So A, unilateral contracts, those only bind one party. Now, a bilateral contract has both parties binded. An example of a unilateral contract would be an option contract. Okay, question number 5. In order to have a valid contract, the good faith deposit asked by a seller or offered by a buyer, if required by terms of the purchase and sale agreement, must be paid in the form of A, cash or certified check. B, a bank wire. C, anything the parties agree on. D, a promissory note. Correct answer here is C, anything the parties agree on. So yeah, the parties can agree on any form of payment of a good faith deposit, also known as an earnest money deposit. And the deposit may be something of value other than money, as long as it's agreed upon in that purchase contract. All right, so we're halfway through the 10 questions. I get a lot of emails asking me, where do I get these test questions from? And I actually use a website called Colibri.com. There's going to be a link down below if you want to get your own pre-licensing or if you want to get your own exam prep. I have personally used Colibri to pass my real estate license, my mortgage loan originator license, and most recently my broker's license this year. So I actually stand by their platform. It worked for me. There's a link down below if you want to purchase your own test bank of questions. Full disclosure, it is an affiliate link, so you are supporting the channel. I get a small portion of the sale if you decide to go through with it. If not, that's cool too. You can continue studying with me and using these videos. But yeah, let's dive back into the questions. Question number 6. Broker A conveys an offer from client to broker B, wherein A's client wishes to purchase a 300-acre farm by giving B's client $100,000. 2-year-old tractors, and 50 head of black Angus cattle. Can you imagine how much ribeye that is? What would the consideration offered by A's client be called? A, good. Yeah, I mean, seems like pretty good, yeah. B, personal. C, tangible. D, valuable. Correct answer here is valuable. 300-acre farm, 2 tractors, 50 black Angus cattle. Sure is valuable. So in terms of contract definitions, though, contracts must be supported by consideration, which is offered by one party to induce another to enter the contract. Valuable consideration is anything of value: money, goods, personal services, or exchange property, or sometimes simply the promise to deliver something of value. Question number 7. In order to record a lease, the document must be acknowledged before a proper official by the A, lessee, B, notary public, C, lessor, D, title company. Correct answer here is C, lessor. As a requisite of recording, a document must be acknowledged by the party transferring some right in real property. In this case, that would be the lessor. So this question is another great example of just understanding definitions, right? If you don't know what a lessee is, a notary public, a lessor, or a title company is, you're going to get this wrong. Now, if you just know what each of those things are, then this question is an easy one for you. Question number 8. When a buyer agrees to purchase a new home on the condition that the salesperson sell their current home, the salesperson should A, notify the buyer's lender. B, make a memo to the broker by whom they are employed. C, include a subject to sale clause in the agreement of sale for the new property. D, hold the deposit in escrow until the sale is final. Correct answer here is C, include a subject to sale clause in the agreement of sale for the new property. Now, why this clause is important is because the buyer might end up owning and paying for 2 properties at the same time. So this is actually a pretty common clause that you'll see when people are kind of upgrading their home, right? They're selling their first house to buy another one. Question number 9. According to the statute of frauds, all of the following contracts have to be in writing in order to be enforceable, except A, a lease in real property for more than 1 year. B, a listing contract to sell personal property. C, a purchase contract for land. D, an exclusive agency agreement for a house. Correct answer here is B, a listing contract to sell personal property. An oral agreement to list a business opportunity can be enforced, but contracts and agency agreements involving real property must be in writing. Question number 10. An option is A, keeps the offer open for a specified time. B, requires the optionee to complete the purchase. C, is a form of listing agreement. D, requires the optionor to complete the purchase if the optionee so elects. Let's flash back to a couple questions ago and let's revisit a key term called a unilateral contract, meaning one party is bound by the contract. An option is a unilateral contract. So correct answer here is D, requires the optioner to complete the purchase if the optionee so elects. Once again, another question. You just got to know these definitions, easy points, pass your exam on the first try, all right? Since you made it to the end of this video, I got a bonus for you. An extra question, question number 11. A new and contrary offer made as a reply to an offer received from another is called A, an addendum. B, a counteroffer. C, rejection. D, acceptance. Correct answer here is B, a counteroffer. Okay, take a little pause, see how you did, make sure you understand the concepts. And when you're ready, let's hit these next 20 questions. Question number 1. A lease executed by a minor lessor is A, void, B, valid, C, voidable by the landlord only, D, voidable by the tenant only. Correct answer is C, voidable by the landlord only. So the lease is voidable by the minor landlord who lacks contractual capacity. Void means the contract never existed. Now, the voidable contract is enforceable only as long as the minor so chooses. Main things to know about this one, you got to know what void, valid, minor lessor mean. Question number 2, specific performance is A, agreement by all parties of a contract. B, the execution of the deed. C, a legal remedy available to either party to enforce the terms of the contract. D, a type of commission payment. Correct answer here is C, a legal remedy available to either party to enforce the terms of the contract. So specific performance is the action of a court of law to make a buyer or seller perform the obligations called for in the agreed upon contract. This question is a good example of if you just know the definitions of these words, you're going to get some free, easy points. Question number 3, seller, Sue, promised in the sales contract to have an expensive new roof put on the house before closing. At the closing table, she reduces the price instead. What can the buyer do? A, nothing. B, accept the price reduction with no other remedy. C, either answer. D, file a complaint with the MLS. Correct answer here is C. So if one party fails to perform and the failure is not excused, they have breached the contract and the other party is not required to perform. So in this scenario, the buyer basically can just accept the reduced price instead of that roof, or they can do nothing. And so filing a complaint with the MLS does not really make sense in this one, just because the MLS is related to agents and it doesn't say anything about Sue being an agent. Question number 4, in a face-to-face meeting, a farmer offers $1,500 for roofing work. The roofer says, I'll do it tomorrow. What type of contract is this? A, implied. B, executory. C, unilateral. D, express. Correct answer here is D, express. An express contract is an agreement that has been expressed in words, either spoken or written. Question number 5, can a buyer tender a personal note instead of a cash or check for a deposit? A, no, because it requires a credit report. B, yes, if the seller is fully informed and approves in writing. C, no, only negotiable funds are accepted. D, yes, but only for commercial property. Correct answer here is B, yes, if the seller is fully informed and approves in writing. So this actually happened in a recent escrow for me. My buyer wanted to drop off their earnest money deposit in the form of a cashier's check instead of send a wire. But in our purchase agreement, in the California residential purchase agreement, it typically has wire stated as the default option. And my buyer did not inform me prior to sending over our offer. So our offer was accepted and it did state that the earnest money deposit would be sent via wire. Now, when we asked the sellers if they'd be willing to accept a cashier's check because they wanted to drop it off at the escrow office, the sellers actually said no. And per the contract, we had to do a wire. So my buyers ended up sending a wire because that was what was agreed upon in the contract. Now, if we would have written that earlier in the contract, then my buyers could have dropped off the check. Number 6, Joe receives and signs Mary's offer to buy his house and mails it to her. Is the contract binding? A, no, until Mary opens the letter. B, yes, because Joe sent it to Mary in the mail. C, yes, because Joe signed it. D, no, because it wasn't mailed. Correct answer here is B, yes, because Joe sent it to Mary in the mail. So under the mailbox rule, acceptance is effective once it is placed in the U.S. mail, even if it's not received. Question number 7, in order to record a lease, the document must be acknowledged before a proper official by the A, lessee, B, notary public, C, lessor, D, title company. Correct answer here is C, lessor. As a requisite of recording, a document must be acknowledged by the party transferring some right in real property. In this case, the lessor. I would highly recommend you know the difference between lessor and lessee. That will help you get a ton of points and you'll actually understand what the questions are asking. Question number 8. A licensee sells property to a married couple who are both 17. The contract is A, void, B, illegal, C, valid, D, voidable. Correct answer here is C, valid. Married persons under 18 are considered emancipated minors and can enter into valid contracts. Question number 9. A listing agreement is a contract between A, seller and buyer, B, agent and buyer, C, seller and brokerage/firm, D, buyer and escrow. Correct answer here is C, the seller and the brokerage firm. Okay, question number 10. A meeting of the minds refers to A, a contract closing, B, mutual understanding of property condition, C, loan underwriting approval, D, the offer and acceptance. Correct answer here is D, the offer and acceptance. Okay, so we're about halfway through the video. This is a good opportunity for you to take a quick pause, get some water, check on your notes, and get ready for the second half of the studying. And if you like these types of test questions that we're studying, you can actually buy your own whole test bank of test questions. And so I get these from a website called Calibri.com. There's a link down below. Full disclosure, it's an affiliate link, so you are supporting me and the channel, helping me make more videos like this, helping more people pass the real estate exam if you decide to buy something from that website. And I wouldn't put that link there unless I actually use their products, which I did. So I used Calibri to pass all 3 of my exams. And so I want the same for you. Okay, back to the studying. Question number 11. An offer states it will remain open for 72 hours. What's true? A, it must remain open for 72 hours. B, it may be withdrawn by the offeror at any time before acceptance. C, it becomes a contract after 24 hours. D, it is binding for both parties during that period. Correct answer here is B, may be withdrawn by the offeror at any time before the offer is accepted. Question number 12. A broker lists a storefront for rent, finds a tenant, but the owner refuses to pay the commission. What can the broker do? Go break their windows. No, don't do that. I'm just kidding. A, file a lien on the property. B, sue for specific performance. C, cancel the lease. D, file a complaint with HUD. Correct answer here, unfortunately, is only A, lien the property. So the commercial lien law allows a broker to place a lien on the commercial property to recover a commission if under contract. Question number 13. If seller Adams refuses to close the sale to buyer Williams, the buyer can A, cancel the deal. B, sue for damages only. C, sue for specific performance and for damages. D, file a new offer. Correct answer here is C, sue for specific performance and for damages. Williams may compel Adams to complete the sale and may also sue for any damages caused by the breach of contract. Question number 14. A lease where the tenant pays property taxes, insurance, and rent is called A, a gross lease, B, a ground lease, C, a percentage lease, D, a net lease. Correct answer here is net lease. So in net leases, the tenant pays for rent plus certain other expenses like taxes and insurance. Question number 15. A seller signs an exclusive right to sell listing. The seller's brother-in-law makes an offer the next day. What's true? The broker is not entitled to commission. B, the listing is automatically voided. C, the broker is entitled to a commission. D, the buyer can bypass the broker. Correct answer here is C, the broker is entitled to a commission. So in an exclusive right to sell listing, brokers earn a commission regardless of who finds the buyer. Question number 16. An offer made by buyer A is signed by seller B. What else is required for a valid contract? A, notarization. B, broker approval. C, delivery of acceptance back to buyer A. D, earnest money deposit. Correct answer here is C, delivery of acceptance back to buyer A. So the acceptance of an offer does not constitute a contract until the acceptance has been communicated or delivered back to the buyer. Question number 17. When a seller dies during a listing agreement, the agreement A, becomes voidable, B, is enforceable by the agent, C, transfers to the heirs, D, is terminated. Correct answer here is D, is terminated. So if either the seller or broker dies, the listing agreement is kaput. It's gone, terminated. The listing is between the broker and the seller, not the agent. What rule determines when mailed acceptance becomes legally binding? A, delivery rule. B, broker confirmation rule. C, mailbox rule. D, buyer-seller handshake rule. Well, that sounds like a cool one. Correct answer here is C, the mailbox rule. So remember, we had this one earlier. Acceptance is effective once it's placed in the US mail, even if the recipient hasn't received it yet. Question number 19. The amount agreed to in advance by both parties that will serve as compensation in the event of a breach is called A, punitive damages, B, actual damages, C, liquidated damages, D, compensatory damages. Correct answer here is C, liquidated damages. So if the parties to a contract initial the liquidated damage clause and the buyer defaults, the seller gets the deposit money. Last but not least, question number 20. Buddy makes an offer to buy a house. Seller rejects it. 24 hours later, calls back, decides Buddy's offer is good and they want to accept. What is the status of Buddy's offer? A, it is still open because Buddy didn't withdraw it. B, it was terminated when Walker first rejected it. C, it can be accepted if the agent agrees. D, it automatically reactivates if the buyer agrees verbally. Correct answer here, B, it was terminated when Walker first rejected it. So now Buddy can come back with an even lower offer or an offer that fits Buddy even better. Depends on the scenario, but this does happen, right? Sellers reject offers. Maybe it's not as strong as the market they thought. Buyers come back a little bit lower now, Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So the reasoning behind this one is rejection automatically terminates the offer. So a rejected offer does not need to be formally withdrawn. Once rejected, it is no longer valid. Since I love you and I want you to pass the exam and you've stayed this long, I got an extra question for you, a bonus question. Question number 21. Which scenario best describes the process of novation? A, the seller substitutes a backup offer for a primary one. B, the buyer changes lenders before closing. C, the buyer and seller agree to substitute a new contract for a previous one. D, a tenant adds a co-tenant to a lease. Correct answer here is C, the buyer and seller agree to substitute a new contract for a previous one. So this is just a simple one. If you know the definition of novation, boom, one easy point on your real estate exam, one step closer to getting your license. So it's really important that after you pass the exam, drop a comment, let everyone know that you passed. Now that we've gone through those last 20 questions, another good time for you to take a quick break, assess how you did, figure out the hard ones, make sure you know these terms, make sure you know the definitions. Those are the easiest points on the exam. And once you're ready, go ahead and let's wrap up the video with the last 10 questions. Question number 1. According to the statute of frauds, all of the following contracts have to be in writing in order to be enforceable, except A, a lease for more than 1 year. B, a listing to sell real property. C, a listing contract to sell personal property. D, a purchase agreement for a home. Correct answer here is C, a listing contract to sell personal property. Question number 2. A contract is entered into on fraudulent terms introduced by the seller. Upon discovery of the fraud by the buyer, the contract would be A, void. B, enforceable by the seller. C, valid. D, voidable by the buyer. Correct answer here is D, voidable by the buyer. So in cases of fraud against the buyer, the contract is voidable by the buyer until they disaffirm it. Now, if they decide to still move forward and they affirm it, the contract becomes valid. Question number 3. Buyer B signs a contract that would give the seller 48 hours to accept or reject the offer. The seller has had the offer for 24 hours, but no decision has been reached. The buyer wants to withdraw the offer. Can they do it? A, no, the offer is irrevocable for 48 hours. B, yes, the buyer can rescind the offer at any time before the seller's acceptance. C, no, not unless the broker agrees. D, only if the seller gives permission. Correct answer here is B. Yes, that buyer can rescind the offer at any time before the seller's acceptance. So any offer may be rescinded by the person offering it, also known as the offeror, at any time before it is accepted and that acceptance has been communicated. Question number 4. Which act prohibits discrimination in housing transactions? A, the UNRRA Civil Rights Act. B, the Sherman Act. C, the Rumford Act. D, the Clayton Act. Correct answer here is C, the Rumford Act. Now, I recently passed my broker's exam, and the way I studied for that was to write down each of these acts and kind of write down what their main purpose was and kind of like the years that they were passed. You won't get a ton of questions on the exam about it, I don't think. At least I didn't. But those are easy points. And that is my whole philosophy around passing this exam. Get the easy points. You have a wide range of knowledge. You don't need to go super deep and know every single detail about, every rights act, but you have to have a good general idea of what that act's goal and purpose was in protecting consumers. Question number 5. A new and contrary offer made as a reply to an offer received from another is called A, bilateral enforceable contract. B, a re-offer. C, a counter offer. D, an acceptance. Correct answer here is C, a counter offer. So a counter offer terminates the original offer and constitutes a new offer with different terms. Speaking of offers, I have one for you. So I get emailed all the time. Hey Darren, where do you get these test questions? How do you recommend studying for the exam? How do I pass on my first try? So like I mentioned before, I just passed my broker's exam and I did it on the first try. And I used a platform called Calibri. So I have a link down below. Full disclosure, it's an affiliate link. So if you decide to buy anything from that site using that link, you are supporting the channel. I get a small portion of the revenue, but I stand by their products. They work for me. If you want to get your own practice exams, go ahead and use that link down below. Okay, back to the questions. Question number 6, a contract in which something of value is given to another to compensate them for entering into the agreement is called A, chattel. B, consideration. C, assignment. D, acceptance. Correct answer here is B, consideration. Now, consideration is a required element of a valid contract, and it just refers to something of value exchanged between the two parties. Speaking of value, I hope you're finding value in these videos. So if you like these videos and you want more of them, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Question number 7. Buddy wanted to buy the Walker's home and made an offer with a 48-hour deadline. The seller rejected it, but later changed their mind. Within the 48 hours, what's the legal status? A, the offer is still open until the deadline expires. B, the seller can still accept. C, the offer was terminated when the seller rejected it. D, the offer is valid with the agent's confirmation. Correct answer here is C, the offer was terminated when the seller rejected it. Now, keep in mind, rejecting an offer automatically terminates that offer. There's no need to withdraw a rejected offer. Question number 8. An option agreement is A, bilateral contract. B, a contract with mutual obligations. C, a unilateral contract. D, a personal property agreement. Correct answer here is C, a unilateral contract. So an option is a fully negotiated unilateral contract where the optionor is bound to sell if the optionee chooses to exercise their right. Good example of a question that you just got to know the definition of a word. So when you're studying, you'll probably get a summary of important words at the end of the chapter. Go ahead and learn those definitions because those are easy points. Question number 9. An owner lists their home with an agent, but delays putting the listing in the MLS to try to double end the deal. Is this proper? A, yes, because the seller agreed. B, no, he did what was in his best interest, not the client's. C, yes, if it closes without issues. D, no, because pocket listings are never legal. Correct answer here is B, no. He did what was in his best interest and not the client's. This absolutely violates fiduciary duty. And if you've been following real estate news, there's actually a lot of commotion happening right now. Zillow and Compass are suing each other because Compass doesn't want to post their listings on the MLS. So I think this question is kind of funny because this is a heated topic of discussion right now in the real estate industry. But for purposes of the real estate exam, I want you to always think about what's best for the client, not the agent, right? The agent's job is to act as a fiduciary for their client. They're always supposed to be looking out for their client's best interest. Question number 10, a young married couple buys property, but both are only 17. Holy smokes. Congratulations, you guys. Great work. What is the legal status of the contract? A, void. B, illegal. C, valid. D, voidable by both. Correct answer here is C. This is valid. Whoa, okay. Married persons under 18 are considered emancipated minors and can enter into valid contracts. They might not even have their driver's license. They're buying a house. I don't think we're seeing this scenario a lot, but for purposes of the real estate exam, go ahead. This is valid. Okay, since you stayed till the end, I'm going to reward you. Question number 11, a bonus question. I hope you get this one on your exam and you get it right. What is the legal term for a deposit held to compensate the seller in case the buyer breaches the contract, as agreed to in advance? A, actual damages. B, contingent liability. C, liquidated damages. And D, earnest money. Correct answer here is C, liquidated damages. If the parties to a contract initial the liquidated damages clause and the buyer defaults, meaning the buyer doesn't fulfill their obligations in that contract, the seller can keep the earnest money deposit as compensation. Now, this is actually something that you will need to understand when you start working, because buyers can lose their deposits. And it's going to be your job, if you're representing the buyers, to protect that deposit and make sure that they perform according to the contract. On the other side of it, I recently represented a seller earlier this year, and we almost took a buyer's deposit. Luckily, they ended up performing and we ended up closing and everyone was happy, but they had to release their deposit to the sellers because they were behind on the timelines in the contract. So once you start working as a real estate agent, get to know the liquidated damages clause very well. Hopefully this video was helpful. I do hope you passed your exam on the first try. Like I mentioned in all my videos, if you need help with anything, feel free to email me at darren@realdarrensci.com. I'll see you on the next video.